Did you ever wonder how the Philippines, an Asian country, ended up with a Spanish name? The answer lies in its history of over 300 years of Spanish colonization. This epoch was crucial to Spain's imperial aspirations, leaving an indelible imprint on the Philippines' language, culture, and religion. Spanish influence permeates every aspect of Filipino life, even centuries after their reign. So, let's delve into this fascinating chapter of history and understand how Spanish colonization shaped the Philippines. The Spanish conquest of the Philippines began in 1565 with the arrival of Miguel López de Legazpi. This intrepid explorer, sailing under the flag of Spain, traversed the vast Pacific Ocean in search of new territories and opportunities. His journey ended in the archipelago of the Philippines, where he established the first Spanish settlement in Cebu. This was not a peaceful arrival, however. The indigenous communities, with their own complex societies and cultures, resisted the intruders. The initial encounters between the Spanish and the locals were marked with conflict and tension. The Spanish, armed with superior weaponry and driven by a desire to spread Christianity, had the upper hand. Despite these challenges, the Spanish persisted, gradually extending their influence across the islands. They laid the foundations of modern cities, introduced Catholicism, and imposed their language and customs. This marked the beginning of a new era for the Philippines, one that was to be dominated by Spanish rule for the next 300 years. By the late 16th century, the Spanish had firmly established their rule over the archipelago. The Philippines, a collection of over 7,000 islands, was no longer a loose collection of independent barangays, but a colony under a foreign power. Spanish rule had reached its zenith, and with it came sweeping changes that would leave an indelible mark on the Philippine society. One of the most profound changes was the conversion of the local population to Catholicism. Spanish friars spread the Catholic faith with fervor, baptizing thousands and erecting churches all over the islands. The bells of these churches would echo across the land, symbolizing the pervasive influence of the Spanish faith. The Spanish language, too, seeped into the local vernacular. Spanish words found their way into the Filipino language, enriching it and leaving a linguistic legacy that is still evident today. As the Spanish rule solidified, so did the implementation of their laws and customs. The colony was governed under Spanish law, and societal norms began to mirror those of the motherland. But the height of Spanish rule was not just about cultural assimilation, it was also about economic integration. The Manila Galleon trade, a maritime route connecting the Philippines with Mexico, opened the islands to the global economy. This trade brought wealth, ideas, and new products, intertwining the fate of the Philippines with the rest of the world. Despite resistance and uprisings, Spanish influence became deeply entrenched in the Philippine society. However, all empires eventually fall. For Spain, their rule in the Philippines ended in 1898. The twilight of Spanish rule was marked by a series of events that were both internal and external. The internal struggle, known as the Philippine Revolution, began in 1896. Filipinos, longing for independence, took up arms against their colonizers, igniting a flame of resistance that would not be easily extinguished. Meanwhile, overseas, the Spanish-American War erupted in 1898. Spain, already grappling with an uprising at home, found itself at war with the United States. This war stretched the Spanish forces thin and marked the final nail in the coffin for Spain's rule in the Philippines. In the Treaty of Paris, signed in December of the same year, Spain ceded the Philippines to the United States, marking the end of over 300 years of Spanish rule. The Spanish era had ended, but its influence remained, shaping the Philippines as we know it today. Spanish colonization marked a significant period in Philippine history. For more than 300 years, from 1565 to 1898, the archipelago was under Spanish rule. This era began with the arrival of the Spanish, a moment that forever altered the course of Philippine history. The apex of Spanish rule saw profound transformations as the Philippines was molded into a colony like no other. With the introduction of Christianity, the Spanish language, and a distinct cultural blend, the Philippines became a unique fusion of East and West. The end of Spanish rule was not the end of their influence. The imprints of this era continue to shape the Philippines, from its culture and language to its religion. The story of Spanish colonization in the Philippines is a testament to the enduring influence of history on a nation's identity.